joining Carmine Core. They are, of course, rounded off this trio by the man who seems to collect nationalities for fun, Drali. I think it's a really great squad. I'm expecting them to win, but as always, the question at the beginning, Bacon, is will they? We start our expectations and our answers now.
Yep, let's find out. Geometry Dash, definitely a team that you could see being a contender next season of RLCS whenever we get the announcement for that. But on the opposite end, Crispy, Breezy, and Toxic, that feels almost in a similar vein. A team that sure you wouldn't expect to be at the top echelons, but are an exciting prospect nonetheless. And of course, we saw them in that last series. Very fun to watch.
It feels a little bit like the Rocket League version of a National Olympics team. Like, it's not the first 11, but you definitely feel like they've got a lot to prove, and prove it they might very well do, should they get a good start and find their rhythm. It's been all to the melody so far of Geometry Dash professionals. We will look to call them GDP for short, not of course to be confused with the currency or anything, but the only currency we care about are goals. And as we pass the first minute, it remains 0-0.
Crispy again, a prospect that I will still keep singing the praises of. Last season, didn't really hit those highs that you'd expect of them. And you could argue the same with Breezy, right? So I feel like these are two players that, whilst have been around the scene for, quite a while now, still have a lot to prove.
This Joyo, he's really got nothing to prove. He is a maestro of many different arts, and Drali mastering the save on this occasion, and one that you'd expect him to make. An extra unable to break out of his own half here. He's backed up by Joyo, who does get over the halfway line. It's 1v1 with Breezy. Hits the bar. Oh, and a miss. Here's extra to try and reload the weaponry, but no, there is no second shot on this occasion.
You'd expect Drali hit those each and every day of the week. Good pass up for Joyo. Extra's got a great little response there. Knocking the ball back towards the midfield, trying to slow things down, allows both Joyo and Drali to get back in defense. But of course, Extra's so good. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Still able to be on a top roster, was able to not only stop the bleed, but then turn the tide and go back into attack. Incredible.
Extra, of course, remains for me one of the most momentous transfers in RLCS history, replacing ClayX when ClayX himself thought he had done nothing wrong, and he didn't. The last team to win the Rocket League rival series, and yet we know what happened thereafter. Of course, BDS have sadly dropped off from here on out. Their futures remain unknown, and the future of this particular game, well, we know one of these two teams is going to win, but so far, speculative shots at best, Bacon.
Yeah, we haven't had a convincing shot on target really yet, hence why, you started your history lessons just then. But Breezy might have got the chance with the block, but Toxic wasn't willing to commit to that play.
Oh, beautiful crossfield pass, and that's the breakthrough. Joyo finding a wonderful pass first to his teammate in Extra in the first place. Round Crispy, back to Joyo, short, sweet, simple 1-0.
Immaculate. I mean, they kept us waiting, right? Yeah. And that was a goal worth waiting for. Just clean, concise passing between each other, communication on point, and that just entices us. We want more. They weren't willing to go for a goal unless it was perfect, and that was so darn close to it.
And they're looking to really drive forward now with a second goal would be ideal. You can never rest on your laurels with a 1-0 lead, but given the general lack of creativity up to this point with that sole exception, maybe the 1-0 will be enough. We'll wait and see. Trying to steamroll through, and that's a big whip. That's a big miss. Toxic stopped by Drali. Crispy, the turnaround, the 180, flicks it into a dangerous area. Joyo registers the save and gives it immediately to Breezy. The save from Drali. Extra, almost relieved to get it back into the orange half.
Reactions like that, why Drali is such a hot topic at this moment in time. You can see the mechanical, the physical capabilities of this lad. Just need to learn the macro, but I mean, when you've got both Joyo and Extra there, you'd feel it all come together into a beautiful package like this.
Extra. The news is 2-0 with 63 seconds left on the clock. Joyo repaying the favor from earlier. Not exactly the cleanest shot from Extra, but it's enough power on it. The defense a little bit whimsical in their efforts. It's 2-0. Still not safe, but certainly looking a lot better.
you say, defense, whimsical in their efforts. They were constantly under pressure. Joy to be able to scoop that back, recycle the attack, keep it going, doesn't give the defense a moment to breathe. And that's kind of the theme throughout this entire game so far. Sure, Gates of Olympus have got more shots registered, an 8 to be frank, versus the 6 of Geometry Dash, but those 6 are in constant motion, one after another. Another play coming out from Joy, the leap for Trolley. It is fantastic.
It's the perfect game, isn't it? Crispy only finds Joyo. How about that for a fake? And Drali goes low. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful. They just needed time to warm up, and out of the oven comes a delicious looking performance.
I'd love to say it's a Crispy play, but unfortunately, Crispy wasn't involved in it, James.
Ah, but then it'd be burned. It'd be overdone. And I think, unfortunately...
I mean, it definitely was well done. I've got to say that.
Most certainly, Gates of Olympus are done with this game at this point. There is absolutely nothing to show for what has been okay, all right. I think it's much to the praise of Geometry Dash professionals that they have made their opponents look as average as they have in game number 1. We certainly hope for a lot more. Looking forward to our second period of the series.
It does feel weird, right? Because we've got nothing bad to say about Gates of Olympus. It is just gushing. You know, we're literally left in awe with Geometry Dash, right? Like, it feels... Casters don't pick favorites. We all know that, unless you're Danny Boy, of course, or Boyo. But Geometry Dash are a hard team to hate right now, or at least to pull apart. Sure, they might have been going a little bit too fancy at the start, going for more solo plays, but then they calmed it down and looked to each other. And when they looked to each other, they were communicating. This looked like an incredible team, and well, rightly so. They got three goals in that game.
Yeah, and there was certainly a really good save from Drali of particular note. But when you're pulling 5 shots if you're breezy, and you're not converting one of them, you know, the chance creation was there, but it comes down to the quality over the quantity that was lacking on this particular occasion. So it's not the end of the world. It's never a bad thing to start with a 5 or 6 out of 10. It's a worry when you're starting to dip below that. But at least Gates of Olympus knows what they're up against. They've had a good opportunity to gauge their opponents, who themselves are in a bit of a slow burn for the opening 2 or 3 minutes on this occasion. We head to Forbidden Temple. It's a fresh slate. It's a chance to start anew. And it's not that the Gates of Olympus were without hardship in their first series. They know what it's like when their backs are against the wall.
You got to remember as well, Gates of Olympus lost that first game to Bro. I think they need this time to adjust, learn their opponents, and now game 2 is when we're going to really, put the judge on them. We're going to see what are they all about, how can they respond to this GD side.
When the hammer falls, innocent or guilty of excellent Rocket League, well, that can certainly be said of this man. He's African Bob the Builder, because he Moroccan.
I do not know where you got that from, and realistically, I don't know where Drali got that from. That felt almost free for him there. Just everything parted in front, and it was a simple shot towards net. Didn't have to be complicated.
Can he fix it? Yes, he can. It's a clever bit of wordplay with one of the many nationalities that he owns in the Rocket League sphere. Doesn't matter. Good goal. Terrible start for Gates of Olympus. The gates truly have opened. Unfortunately, it's one-way traffic in the wrong direction. And again, struggling to find an exit trajectory out of their own half. They at least make it past the halfway point itself. But how about that for a Cooksia pinch to immediately relieve the pressure valve?
Left towards middle, Drali once again to pick up, looking for a great block against Crispy, but Crispy was able to get there a little bit too quick for comfort. Pass over to Crispy, what a redirect towards net!
We have liftoff for the Gates of Olympus, and like a god from the heavens, Toxic provides in abundance. Lovely flick on as well. That's a difficult style of play to master when the ball is traveling at such a velocity. The application, beautiful. Gates of Olympus, we have a spark.
Okay, they're woken up, but they need to get the go-ahead goal right now. They cannot allow the space of time for Geometry Dash to once again regain the lead. Left over towards the wall with Toxic, breezily to take off his hand. But that's left lingering in the air. Drali's so quick onto it, pushing into the corner. Crispy gonna do his diligence there in the corner, just slow it on down, but the onslaught is still coming through. Breezy has been blocked out for extra, and finally Crispy gets a clearance.
Back into the middle. Here's Toxic. And over to the side wall. He's going to follow this up with a second touch. Helped out by Breezy, but again, the defense would be too strong. Missing out on that transitional play could have been real dangerous for Gates of Olympus. And might still be, but a double demo from Breezy does all the work for them. And now Breezy, with the 180 around, Toxic arrives on the scene to help out back into the center. A bit too simplistic, this passing play. Extra will register a save, but really just a lot better from Gates of Olympus. We're looking at a stalemate rather than what we were seeing previously, although, my goodness, I was almost made to eat my words.
Well done by Toxic. To be able to get to that ball, had to read the opposition, but again, the opposition keeps on attacking. Finally, a break in that momentum. Toxic leave it for Crispy up into the corner. Who's going to finish this one off? No one stepping up. Gates of Olympus looking to set up fort on that midfield line.
Toxic. See Crispy lurking in wait. How on earth he got demoed from that is a little bit beyond my own belief. But here's some belief for Toxic. Ooh, maybe not. He gives it away quite cheaply, actually. Drali towards the net. Second touch. Toxic with a save. Joyo has to stop. Awful starting position, but what he's done with it is sensational. Another moment of panic here for the team in orange, and yet the defense still holds.
How much longer, though, as these attacks keep on coming? Gates of Olympus just need to find the pressure valve. Just let a bit of that gas out and push into their opponent's half. I don't mind that approach to setting up on the midfield line, but they need to make sure they've got the boost behind it.
Breezy. With a minute 45 left. What can he achieve from here? Well, he's got a musty flick in the locker. Simple enough. And a bump on extra. He does well, actually, to readjust, but loses out on the 100. Toxic, sadly, misses out on the touch itself. Crispy, Breezy, that's nice, hits the post. And Crispy looks to reset here. A bizarre situation where he saw extra ahead. Toxic scrambles in with the challenge, and Drali towards net. That's not going to threaten at all.
Attack. Not working out, but you can still see the ideas forming for Gates of Olympus. They know they're up to the challenge. And no! No one knew who was going for that.
Yeah, time to tick down the difficulty setting, methinks. Toxic left to their own devices. Like the mother shouting, "Knife!" Maybe they should have gotten the handle on that situation as a collective a little bit sooner. A cheap goal to give away.
1 minute and 5 seconds left, though. It's only a 1-goal lead. Gates of Olympus is still in it. They've got to use that motivation, that sheer passion for the game and improvement. I mean, it would be an upset taking down Geometry Dash, but nothing seems to fall in their favor.
Well, everything's falling against their favor. Check this out from Drali. Simple flick up. Extra going for a round the goal attempt at the bump, but he didn't even need it because the trajectory from the last player coming in here, yeah, they get the touch, but it also helps it go goal bound. And very quickly, game number 2 has totally disintegrated here, the game plan for Gates of Olympus, and after such a strong period where the pressure was all them.
It's the calm from Geometry Dash, which is so scary for me here, James, where they just look, dare I say, effortless. They are just doing their job. You know, it feels very simple for them. And when you're playing up against, you know, a team like Gates of Olympus that seem almost panicky in every situation, that sort of speaks truths about where these two teams currently sit.
When faced with adversity in a game, it's always good to return to the basics, and the flashes of brilliance that we've seen from the Geometry Dash professionals have been more than enough to impress us, most certainly. But on this occasion, it wasn't so much them, Bacon. It was their opponents, architects of their own downfall, now 2-0 down in the series.
But Gates of Olympus looking a lot more, dare I say, confident about taking games. Maybe not the series just yet. They haven't convinced us, but I still see it now as they can take a game or 2 in this series. So I wonder what changes they're going to be making going into game number 3. Definitely Toxic was more like the spearhead approach there, the tip of the spear, where they're looking to punch ways through the defense. But then you look at all 3 players and you think they're all capable of doing that. They're all great attacking players. Maybe this time we see Breezy step up and take that role and just see which of the formation works, because they're all capable. It's just who's feeling on form to be able to beat out some of the best in the world, like Drali Extra and Joyo.
The stats determined to make you look like a fool, Bacon. The tip of the spear got 0 shots on target, and in fact, when you look at the shot output, Crispy and Breezy only with the 2 apiece, it means that their shot output between them is less than what Breezy had in game number 1. Very strange to read into what exactly led to the downfall here, when they got 1 more goal in this game than they did out of last game. For me, it comes down to a lack of quality and Geometry Dash seeing almost a more open midfield to play with. And it's through that where the pressure really started to crank up, and Gates of Olympus just, I don't want to say bottled it necessarily, but were forced into those mistakes.
What I mean was Toxic was being that first man to the attack, so essentially looking to run the ball downfield. We need Toxic realistically on the receival of that initial first man player who's going to pass it Toxic and finish off. In that position, I quite like Crispy to run the ball. He's got some great control, able to dribble it far, then look for that pass. Breezy, I do like as a safe pair of hands to hold back that midfield line and then look to carry on that pressure. That's the kind of formation I want to see come out from Gates and Olympus.
That's just it, isn't it? We have to see it. And so far, we've maybe seen it once. Limited serialization, limited goals, and Drali a little bit limited there. Decent defense from the Gates of Olympus, and oh my goodness me, Joyo Kami running the worst livery of any car in the entire game there with the Vitality Fennec. Vitality, please sort your decal department out. This is a plea for help.
It's Marmite.
Uh-oh.
That's what it
Speaking
is.
of please
This
help.
is a plea for help, and no one answered it. Okay.
Nobody took advantage of it either. Straight down the other end off the post. Ricochets. Joyo, a little bit too easy for Toxic. And this game has lit up like a Christmas tree. And how about this from Joyo? Oh, what a present this would be for Extra! Oh, what a spot! But the shot didn't have the power.
Great work from Crispy, running it downfield. Joyo able to respond and slowing it down, bring it under control. The layoff to Drali, but the bounce back's not going to be favorable. Extra again, slowing this down, pushing into the opponent's up. High balls like that allow you to gain ground. The macro of the game is to control the pitch, not the ball.
Utterly unrelenting. Oh, that's far post, and it hits it. Again, woodwork rattle, Drali picking up a save. I like this from Gates of Olympus, honestly. Is their defense a little more porous? Most certainly. But they're certainly doing a lot more down the other end as well to justify this more rambunctious style of gameplay. They're forced back into their own half yet again. Joyo chasing, but Toxic does really well to clean up nicely with a demo. And there's Breezy to snuff Joyo Kami.
Breezy do here. Getting blocked out at every turn. Crispy's got the right idea. Big, beefy clearance downfield. Follow up onto it and look to hold. Again, the macro of the game, holding that midfield line is the constant game plan of Gates of Olympus. It hasn't worked just yet, but that's because their finishing plays haven't been as clean and clinical as they want it to be.
Another midfield challenge that goes the way of those in orange. Joyo looking to navigate his way around said players. And he does so through a challenge at least. They don't really get too much far. You can see the general ideas coming out from the Geometry Dash professionals. Looking to slow the play down, but sometimes you've got to speed it up. Oh, no way. Oh, time stopped. Still 0-0.
Why, and this is going to sound really weird, why do Gates of Olympus not have a ball chaser amongst them? They need someone to continuously hassle the attack from Geometry Dash. Hassle those back lines. Do not allow them to have so much freedom. All the goals from a Geometry Dash have been off the back of just constant pressure and being allowed to have that freedom on the ball. No, and you can see now they're not confident enough. Finally, Toxic gets the demo, and you can see there's like a sigh of relief as they feel they can push up a little bit. Sure, Joyo was calm there, but you can see it just alleviates so much of the play coming through from Geometry Dash.
Clearly both defenses went to church in between game 2 because both defenses are living blessed lives. Another great opportunity for Gates of Olympus to take the lead. Another chance that has been denied, this time by an actual defensive play.
Sure.
And how about that from Drali? Extra skill, locked on the line, and off the line it goes, the ball. It refuses to enter that blue goal mouth.
Feels like they've got some sticky tape on those goalie gloves, not allowing it past the line. They've got a firm grip. It's Crispy. That's a nice idea with the pass to Breezy, but Breezy's got no boost. His demo, the ball is left loose, lingering, but no one able to finish it off.
Crispy beaten back. Breezy here to help out his teammate against Extra, who makes a nuisance of himself. Toxic not going to be able to relieve the pressure for long. Drali over Crispy. Drali leaves it. Breezy throws it away. Downfield. Extra just playing for time a little bit. This has got overtime written all over it. Unless something changes, unless something breaks, unless a moment of quality makes a difference. Drali, it's a mishandle. Extra bails him out big time. Throw away the keys because that's a prison break.
No person willing to commit in the final 5 seconds. You know it's a do or die moment. They could have sealed the deal. Instead, we're going to a 0-0 overtime. We're begging for a goal. Breezy wanting that goal, gets the flip, but Joyo think better of it.
Oh my goodness, Extra frozen in place. Excellent call from Drali to deny a near post opportunity now. It has been all Gates of Olympus for the last minute. They've got a demo, they've got the numerical advantage, but Drali again goes airborne just to buy some time. Extra only finds the path of Crispy, who mishandles it somewhat, loses possession. Joy Okami, he can do something spectacular towards net. Oh, it's all so easy in the end.
I hate this. The progression downfield by Joyo. Don't get me wrong, was good, decent. You still wouldn't expect it to result in a goal, but it's just the right timing by Drali, reading the challenge, committing to it, and that has been the difference here. Geometry Dash's idea of commitment, seeing the play building up and knowing that that is when you strike, when you're a viper coiled up and you know when to lunge. Gates of Olympus don't have that killer instinct about them, and that's the difference between these two squads right now, alongside just the sheer mechanical display we saw from Geometry Dash throughout the series.
It's brutal. I see one of our wonderful chatters, and welcome to almost 600 of you. If you're not following, please do. I imagine there might be plenty more tournaments heading over to the Rocket Baguette and the Rocket RB for you to enjoy in the off-season. But here's the thing. They most certainly can shoot. They doubled the amount of shots that Geometry Dash professionals put up at 15-7. To not come away with any goals from 15 shots. That is the story of game number 3. And now they're up against it. They got to reverse sweep their opponents to win it and progress.
So throughout the entire game, correct me if I'm wrong with that, I felt definitely that at any single moment, Gates of Olympus, they were fragile. It could have just been a runaway goal for Geometry Dash. Even though Gates of Olympus were in the commanding position, they had the majority of possession, they had better control of the pitch, they just were a little bit too loose with their plays.
Yeah, I think you basically hit the nail on the head. We identified it pretty early, actually, that they were a lot more open at the back, but it's a meta in Rocket League at the moment where you fight fire with fire, and you actually limit the amount of shots by creating more for yourself. And okay, sometimes you might concede a silly goal, but it's worth it if you can score 2 down the other end. But that's just the problem in of itself. They didn't score nada. They scored nothing. They've only scored 1 goal this entire series, Bacon.
Gates of Olympus are now starting to play about with a little bit of pace, maybe? After seeing that play, because it was so peculiar, so weird. It required 2 defenders, but they didn't send the second attacker towards it.
Oh, a little bit late from Toxic. Drali. Oh, it's smart. Oh, it's saucy. And Choyo was there. Unfortunately, Crispy was there first, but again, the clean up through on hand. Drali's got them ups out.
Oh, this is time and time again, Drali, reader's situation. And again, it looks like an easy goal, but it's because of the teamwork put together to allow Drali to stand at the pinnacle of perfection right now, making it look so simple.
Are we looking at the future of Moist Esports? Maybe. I think a long time to go yet before we get any confirmation on those sorts of money moves. But I'm convinced, Bacon, this compared to what we saw from Moist Esports previously is so much more clinical, and I think for me crucially solid defensively. Joyo's allowed to flex. Drali's been fantastic up on these follow plays, and we know what Extra can provide as both an anchor and a creator of that midfield presence.
They built from communication as a sort of ground starting point. This team will only get faster, which is the scary part of it.
Certainly a house of nightmares for the gates of Olympus, who might just have to look at closing hours sooner rather than later. Nice opportunity here, but once again, speculative, not really much of a plan 1.5. In fact, they've just gone right down the other end. Joyo Kami found the bump, got a goal, and Gates of Olympus, they're drowning out there.
Is it that I don't want to call this series just yet, because we know Rocket League well enough where you can just get that flash of moment and the reverse sweep is on. Crispy definitely wanting of it, the pop-up, trying to change ideas, but the communication just is not there clearly.
They've lost their confidence, they've lost their mojo. I agree, weirder things have happened in Rocket League, most certainly, but this team has got to do something that they haven't done all series, which is score more than 2 goals, and that's difficult when you're scoring at 0.3 goals a game. Speaking of 3.
The save was the correct play. Sure, it was, above board, send it back, but they got to be calling that quicker. You need the second man's help. You need to be calling into him, but instead they just seem to be quiet. A deadly silence. And again, we said it earlier back in, I think it was the second game of the series, the issue right now for Gates and Olympus are each other. They're just not in sync yet. This has a team with so much potential to it, Relic, but right now, they got to go back and, boot camp, workshop what they want from one another, because clearly they don't have that instinctual connection, that chemistry yet.
They had enough to get past their first opponents. It is becoming quickly and more obviously evident that they do not have enough to get past one of the favorites for this tournament. Playing with their food is the phrase that comes to mind for the Geometry Dash professionals, and as much as we could talk about the woes of Gates of Olympus, we should give them their fair due, both in games where they dominated the chances and in games with limited chances. They have showed exactly why they are a step above.
Whereas downfield is Crispy. He's still making a good chance on this. I like these build-up and attacks, and you can see now they're wanting to commit to all 3 players, but maybe going for too much of solo perfection where they want to run it themselves towards net. Double commit in the air. Yeah, this is a team that's trying to go for one highlight reel play, and you know what, at this point, I'm all for it.
1 goal is certainly better than a big fat donut, that's for sure. Although I will definitely back up the big fat donut. It can be delicious on the best of days. But it's been they've been very much starved, Gates of Olympus, in game number 4, in quite stark contrast to what we saw in game number 3. Check this out with Drali trying to win a challenge successfully. Joyo Kami happy to go for the 100 boost and rotate out. This game management as well, really impressive to me, Bacon. Yeah, okay, they concede at this point, and it's not really the end of the world, but they don't want that. This is a statement series.
You've also got to think, it might be a bit of a weird call, but Drali has had so much pressure put on him, especially coming up to this next season of RLCS. But right next to him, even though Drali will go away as the MVP of this series for getting the most points and, the most talked about player definitely, Joy and Extra are like 2 dream teammates you could want for tournaments like this. So much experience from them, definitely at the top of their game. And calm, cool heads. Drali is kind of getting guided, and this is the perfect sort of build-up towards the next season, the perfect tournament pass to participate in, especially when, there's $6,000 right there for first place. They got to be licking their lips at it.
You've got one of the comeback kings in RLCS history. You got a world champion, you know? That's some good pedigree to align yourself with. And like an informed greyhound at the races, it has been a runaway performance for the Geometry Dash professionals. Professional indeed. Not a moment where they ever looked out of place, like they didn't need to be there, like they didn't want to be there. Very, very impressed. Color me it.
Gates of Olympus will go away battered and bruised, but they need to lick their wounds. This was not the worst display. Notice that game 2 and 3 getting it much closer. They're able to adapt. They've just got to find that communication with one another. And I think it's something that it'll just take time. Maybe as well, this is not the right trio. You know, we see it in Rock League, especially in EU, where you just need the 3 players to find each other and click. The best example of that is Hogan mode during the spring split, right? 3 players that weren't really in question for making it 2 top 6 even. And then out of nowhere, just bursting on. And I feel all 3 players of Gates of Olympus have got that capability in them. They've just got to wait for their time and keep grinding away, and it will finally appear for them.
On this day, though, unfortunately, Gates of Olympus stuck in the mud. Jar of Jam on hand to give us an update across the rest of the bracket and such. Your thoughts, please. A penny for them, good sir.
Alrighty, well, if we're speaking about this match specifically, 3 games, Geometry Dash professionals, absolutely sweeping their opposition. Looking at this roster, this could be the future of Moist Esports. But Gates of Olympus, that game number 3, gentlemen. Maybe I'll drop it back to you because that game number 3, Gates of Olympus, all chances in the world. 15 shots for Gates of Olympus, 9 saves from GDP, and yet, even with all that field domination, just did not go in. Tremendously exciting game for everybody but the fans of these teams by the looks of it. Honestly, Bacon, I felt like neither of these shots were getting into the net. They just did not want to, all for the sake of spectacle. That was that game.
I was about to start raising my hand there and like ask the teacher, because I was going to say, I described it. It was fragile pressure. Every single moment, it felt like there could be a runaway goal. And it was purely down to the defense, continuously challenging. Sure, they were kind of, Geometry Dash were playing a weird game where they were allowing their opponents to kind of build up, but then whenever there was a chance for a shot on net, there was a player to defend it. And it was more of like a weird ebb and flow where, to try and put it simple, Gates of Olympus just had picked up the pace, and it was a natural response from Geometry Dash. It's as simple as that.
Well, even in the first those couple of games, it felt like Geometry Dash were just heads ahead of their opposition. I think in the end they've proved it. Relic, I know this is like way early, but knowing that GDP, this could be the potential future iteration of Moist Esports. As we know, they're believed to be rebuilding around Joyo, and my God, Extra needs a team because I don't think he should be sitting on the bench. And Drawley, honestly, this is one of the up and coming stars we need to watch. At 13 years old, he was already winning 1v1s versus Jorius and apparently Jack. Surely he must be the next player for everybody to want to grab, just like it was with Zen previously.
Certainly. I mean, I got to apologize first and foremost for stymieing a sneeze there. I imagine that was incredibly funny for a lot of you at home. But I also want to use that as a segue here because, you know, sometimes you do sneeze, it happens, and, you know, everyone looks at you and laughs. And I think we don't want to see that for whatever the next iteration of Moist Esports is going to be, because everyone was, you know, super hyped up about the next evolution of Moist Esports last season. And it never really got going. The trio just never seemed to settle into a position which was anywhere close to that classic revolutionary squad of Joyo, Rise, and Vatira. This, for me, feels like it's got much better foundations to not slip up on. I think that you bring some excellent points to the table. I love Extra as a partner for Joyo. I think those two will work really nicely as Joyo and Vatira did in the past. And now we're looking at Drawley. Remember, young lad, 15 years of age. He is going to be this next wave of talent for the 23-24 season, whenever that is eventually going to happen. We need to see progress and star quality in these sorts of tournaments. And you know what, Jam? You know what, Bacon? He was there. I'm going to put it out there. MVP. Saves, creativity, shots of both good quality and cleanup crew work. It's the full package, and I'm loving seeing that.
And honestly, it even has a ring to it already. Joyo, Extra, and Raleigh. Come on, it's right there. It's right there. Another one of our teams that's already booked its way into the semifinals, of course, is Aogiri Prime, which, funnily enough, also has that cadence of Toxicity Atomic. They have defeated $9, who've shown themselves tremendously. Growly Season and Razir's roster earlier swept Waza in our round of 16, but they could not handle Aogiri Prime, so we already have 2 teams confirmed. In the meantime, though, Bim Bam and Team 2 are still battling at the top of that quarterfinal, 3-2 currently in favor of Bim Bam. Those are your Olis, Astral, and Team 2 is currently winning 2-1 in that game. And if we do move into game number 7, we're going to bring that series onto your screens, and as well Awupi versus Sa. Awupi currently, I think, is just going against absolutely everybody. Currently second lowest seeded team in this bracket, and yet defeated Nassim Balimode. Now are on the way to defeat Sa. My goodness, it seems like, Relic, that they're just not going to stop. Geometry Dash Professional is next.
I love these sorts of teams where it's almost like it's almost like the spirit of Chronovi has just inhabited their body, as that season 1 vibe has been just distilled down into this wonderful concoction that they're cooking up here on this Sunday eve. But look, with the best of respect to Sa, Mike Boy, Temper, Gome, is that really in the same category we're suggesting as Geometry Dash? Not for me. So as much as it would be great to see AWU making it to the semifinals in the first place, an unbelievable run up until that point, I think they're going to be facing a brick wall on the next series.
Well, their run either ends at some point or they are the grand champions. We just got the confirmation that, yes, indeed, Team 2 has brought it into game number 7 versus Bim Bam. So in just a moment, it's going to be on your screens as well. Again, just a reminder, Bim Bam, Astral, Cash and Oli, Simus, Rizex, and Tekos. I got this. This would be something, gentlemen.
Definitely. Well, when you look at this, Bim Bam for me is kind of the one I'm going to be looking towards. Is, everyone's looking, this is a potential team for next season. I think Oli was done hard by G1 and was the star at Worlds, but Cash and Astral alongside O, we want to see, and I think they are kind of destined to make it to the grand final. But on that opposite end, Rizex always finds magic in tournaments like this, and this time is the combination of Seabass and Tekwas. Beautiful finish.
We're just sitting in and watching the game, Relic. You know what? For once in our lifetimes, we can just relax and watch because this is by far too Rocket League.
I was going to say, it's a big yikes, unfortunately, for Bim Bam straight off the... I mean, again, it's always the dichotomy of these early goals. It's great to settle down a team, to be like, okay, we're in this, we've got the lead, we can hold on to it, but also you're giving your opponents as much time as possible to get back into it, and you've got to expect that Bim Bam's going to score at least 1 in this game number 7, right?
1, make it 2 at the very least. It's look at these shots coming in thick and fast. Oli's the last one trying to go for it. They have everything going with that demo. Actually won't open anything. Love just to see us on the field, by the way. Just a bit of a personal note, because every single time there's a Baltic player on the field, I'm getting some Baltic pride right here.
Yeah, I remember CMAS all the way back when he was an inspector of courts, like years ago, and has been a player that's continuously been on the grind, and another one to watch. Actually, we just saw Crispy, right? They used to duo up, even with Oski, way back when. So, this is a player that's on that grind, and I think next season is going to be when we finally see him be able to jump in the top tiers of RLCS, because they've definitely shown the work ethic and that willingness to play with so many different players, because, as I said in the last series, you've got to continuously look for who actually fits your playstyle.
For months to figure it out, Relic. And we ourselves have had a great chance to look at all the Lithuanian stars, seemingly the best players for Rocket League, that's for sure. Well, the Esports League. But for now, it is a draw from Oli. Not on this occasion. I do love what BIMBAM is still trying to do. They're playing fast. They are playing with no breaks. And they're bringing on the threat. Even right there where Oli just barely missed.
Playing a little bit too fast for my liking, though. It's a bit of a headless chicken strategy right now, where they're simply trying to outpace a defense which looks very, very comfortable. You know, playing off Bacon's point, you know, this is clearly a trio that has put the time in to be at their very best, and errant touches like that from Oli really won't help. I mean, this is an open net. Simas, my goodness, needed Oli on hand. Maybe I was there saying, oh yes, surely we're going to see BIMBAM score, but they need to do that twice just to force overtime. And shout out to Tekos. I mean, this guy's been unreal over the 3 minutes that we've watched already.
Tekos has been unreal for realistically last season, maybe season and a half. But again, it's just that not being able to find it onto that very top tier team. And again, is another one wanted. Grisex on the opposite end is a player that's always been in the mix, and as I said earlier, always finds really good players to run alongside, and that's another sort of difference as well. Has seen past teammates go on to reach the very top, and is wanting that themselves, and they're wanting to get back to that place, and you've got to continuously grind at it. Whereas you've got players on the opposite end that kind of, you know, Astral wasn't at Worlds, right?
No way.
Cash and Oli. Oh. The pressure is so on.
Oh, open net
for this one.
I'm actually stunned that Cash got suckered into that so easily. I give plenty of praise to Tekos because he deserves it, and he's been building up to it. I agree, but this, unfortunately, from BIMBAM is kind of a cause of a symptom that we've seen from a couple of these players. Cash in Game 7 scenarios, he's a make it or break it player every single time. He's got so much quality there, but how consistently can he use it? Astral, suspect on defense. He makes a great save there, but he's losing faith in his team. He's doubling up on defense and not making that much of a difference. That was a nice bump attempt. And okay, no, they're not going to score. Wow. They're not going to score, Jam. They're not going to score, Bacon. I'm out of words. We might be seeing the biggest upset of the day so far.
Yes, my words are, what is about today and saves? We've seen some crazy ones. In the meantime, they just walk it in from the other side of the field. This is something else. Cash Oli, while they're trying to score and they get into positions, they drop everything after the first attempt, and on the other end, there's no protection whatsoever.
So, Astral, Cash, and Oli is a team that, on paper, is just not going to work, because you want them all in attack, and that is a smack in the face. That is a proper, you're going to the floor, because, ouch, that's a haymaker.
Do we have time to change the Wikipedia page from BIMBAM to wah wah?
just in quotes, or in those asterisk sad trombone noises.
Yeah.
What a turnaround! Again, we are here. We just joined this series at the very end of it. This is match number 7. In the meantime, we have been seeing tons of overtime. We haven't seen this on stream actually, but first 3 games went to OTs.
Yeah, it's done.
Rezex adds yet another one. I think the gameplay in the background, we already know how this is gonna end. But 3 OTs to begin with, then BIMBAM trying to bring it back. And right now, this is just free season, but for one team and one team only.
Is this the stream curse? Is that it? We're now banned from joining in on Game 7. Is that the case?
Maybe.
No. This is our tournament. We're going to join whenever we want to, and going to show some of the gameplay. Apologies for the BIMBAM fans, though. Apologies to Oli, Astral, and Cash.
I'm not apologising for my joke. You kidding? That was brilliant. It's obviously a shame, though, because they were our favourites going into this. As much as we were worried about them defensively, they are good enough to the extent where they should. I mean, this was an embarrassing defeat, all things considered, and you could tell that the moment of the third win in, they just went and gave up. And that's quite conversely to what we've been saying about how this is a great opportunity to show potential teams, hey, look how good I am. Look how you should be picking me up, and look how I should be the leader in these situations. This has been a horrifying game number 7, where anybody looking at these 3 players is now looking at them thinking, well, Oli didn't step up and carry. Astral threw in the towel, and Cash made so many mistakes that we couldn't count them in that game. Okay, it's one game, yes, but these are the sorts of things that matter at this point, where it's a long off season. You gotta make a good impression and find that team to settle with.
Sorry, Oli didn't step up and carry like 3 Worlds players
exactly.
just then. Like,
exactly.
No, it's all on Oli. I think, like I said,
enough.
it's just a trio that doesn't work. But I mean, our top 2 seeds have been knocked out. This is weird moment right now.
This is off season. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the off season, and things are going to happen. We are trying our best to put these teams together. These players are trying to put these teams together as best as we can. But all we know that your representative for the 2 semifinals, both of which are going to be broadcast right here on the Rocket Derby, as well on the Rocket Baguette channel in French. If you'd like to see that one, we're going to be starting in just a moment with OLYMPUS versus Geometry Dash Bros for the 3rd time in a row. We are going for a team that we've already seen, but Geometry Dash Pros have, I think, proven that they are absolutely deserving to be right here on stream. So we're going to see just exactly what the side of Eustace, Chippy, and Stealth, that's AWP, are made out of, and whether Joyo, Extra, and Drawley, the future Moist Esports, we'll never know until it's completely confirmed. But what is confirmed for sure is that's our next match right here on the stream. This is Rising Stars Odyssey. More Rocket League coming after this short break.